Hello and welcome to the Built on Air podcast. Built on Air is a regular podcast where we talk with everyday people and learn about the amazing things they are doing with Airtable. Today's podcast is sponsored by OpenSide, the leading solutions provider for Airtable customers. Check out openside.com to learn more about their products and services that can take your Airtable usage to the next level. Use promo code BuiltOnAir to receive $20 towards any product purchase. In today's episode, I speak with Andrew Poon, tech guru and software engineer. Andrew started out his career at big tech companies like Google and Yahoo before heading out on his own to start his own company. Andrew is now co-founder of Clockworks, a company focused on making complex approvals easy to set up and manage. After noticing a trend in software as a service, Andrew put on his thinking cap and set out to create a platform to put the power of software in the hands of the consumer, and Airtable seemed to be the perfect place to start. He recently launched Clockworks Approvals for Airtable, an easy-to-use plugin that allows you to configure detailed approval flows for anything from digital or print assets to wholesale products. In conjunction with the release, he also published 3 bases to the Airtable Universe, which demonstrate how powerful Clockworks can be. In today's episode, Andrew demos Clockworks approval system for us. After the initial setup, a formulated link is added to your Airtable base. Upon clicking the link, the user can send emails directly from their base to the people who need to approve the items in question. Clockworks tracks all activity in a beautifully simple interface, allowing you to see the history of approvals, denials, and comments. Check out the show notes for more information on Clockworks and links to their universe bases. All right, so you're going to show us how Clockworks works, and I'm very excited to see this.
All right, so let's just dive in. You can see that I've opened up an Airtable here, and I've actually already connected Clockworks automation into it. That's a fairly simple process that we can go through later if we have time. But just for the sake of just diving into the demo, I already set it up already. Mm-hmm. So awesome. In this Airtable, we've already set this up to have 2 tables within it. One is the assets. So for this kind of Airtable, we kind of imagine a use case where maybe you're a graphics designer and you have a lot of clients and you make a lot of logos. So you want to manage all of those digital assets in Airtable. And what we want to do is add automation that allows you to kind of get feedback and get approval from your clients or maybe internal stakeholders really easily. Mm-hmm. So, you can imagine anything from like a photographer uploading digital proofs to, maybe an architect with floor plans, maybe like I said, a graphics designer uploading UI designs or logos or, anything that you can kind of upload into Airtable that is fairly visual in nature. Yes. So you can see this is a list of those things. If I switch over to the people roles table, this is actually a very simple approvals process where we just name the people that we want to have to be approvers and their contact information, and then we change their role to approver. And so if I go back to Airtable, I'm just going to give you a quick demo of what happens if you wanted to get started. So this is actually the image that we use on our website. This is our feature image. And you can see that I've already set it up to ask Benjamin and Sarah to be the approvers here. So if I click on this link here, you can see that we sucked in the information like Ben and Sarah as the approvers. And you can see below, this is a zoom in of the asset, which you can click through and see the larger version of. So before I do this, I'm going to ask Ben and Sarah, what do you think of this as our featured image? Submit it for approval. You can see that, great. I'm Clockworks demo in this case. We've moved it on to Benjamin as the first user. If I switch back to this is in the way here. If I switch back to the tracker, you can see that it's moved to in progress automatically. Mm-hmm. And if I go over to my email, you can see that Ben has received an email asking for approval for this request. So Ben is going to open it, and you can see that here we have a module that's the approval module, and he's going to say, love it, and submit. And you can see that he has now approved it, and it's moved on to Sarah pretty intuitively. And then if you go back to the Airtable, you can see it's still in progress because we're waiting on both Sarah and Ben. Mm-hmm. And actually, while we're waiting for the next email to come in, I'm just going to show you that, it's pretty easy for you to add approvers. You can just kind of click on and add them. And what we'll do is we'll just go in the sequence that appears in Airtable. But if you wanted to change the order of that, you could just, drag and drop as it goes. So, okay. Now I'm going to go back to, and also as the Airtable owner, you can always view this and take a look at the status as it goes. And you can see that this is a little bit of a different view than what the approvers see, but very similar from what we had before. So now I'm going to go back to email and see that Sarah now received this email, same kind of information, respond to the request. But this time, Sarah's going to say, I don't love it. I actually think that, let's say, I don't know, the call out box, I think, should be larger. Can we also add a gradient? And she's going to return it with feedback. So you can see actually that this has changed states again. And if I go back to Airtable again, you can see that it's changed. Oops, it hasn't changed. If you just give it a second, it'll change to return with feedback. And if I click on the link here, you can see that we've reset the approval. And I can see the comments as the requester so that I can make those changes. Also, if I go back to email, I should also receive the notification for that user. Still hasn't gotten it yet. Just need to give it a second. But actually, what I'm going to do is, while we're waiting, I'm going to add an attachment here. And upload it just while we're waiting.
There it went.
You can see this is the new asset that we uploaded. Close that. Actually, I could probably delete the first one. It's no big deal. Okay. You can see that it came in return with feedback from the polling. So now I'm going to go as the requester, and I'm going to resubmit and just say, what do you think of this tweet? Resubmit for approval. You can see that we still have all of the history here. It's actually gone back to Ben because it's changed, and we expect that he needs to approve again. You can also see a quick summary of all of the kind of activity rather than just the comments if you toggle here. Okay, now I'm going to go back to email. This is the email that was sent to the requester saying, hey, Sarah returned this with feedback. And this is the email that went to Ben after I resubmitted it. And I'm going to respond to that. And he's going to say, still love it. And submit. And then you can see now it's going to go to Sarah, and you can kind of scroll through here and see that the status continues to be there. And again, I can go back here as the owner. Oops, I just added a new row. And I can still see the progress as it's kind of going along. And we're just going to wait a second. Sorry, email kind of takes a while for some reason to show up sometimes.
Especially during live demos.
I know. We know that we send the email right away, but for whatever reason, the email doesn't show up right away. So we just got to wait a second for it to show up.
Of course.
Oh, there it goes. Email showed up. So now Sarah received the email. I can respond to the request now. And this time she's going to say, I love it, ship it. She doesn't want to be the person that always blocks it. And then, so now I'm going to go back up to Airtable. And it should, in a second, just change to approved. And we're done.
That is so cool. Honestly.
Yeah, sorry, it's taking just a few seconds to update. But yeah, that was the first Airtable that we kind of set up. And it's, set up for kind of one person to manage all of their stuff and then kind of approve things from there. And if we have time, I don't know if we do, I wanted to show you a similar Airtable with similar approvals, but kind of a whole different kind of use case. Yeah, so let's just dive into that. I'm just going to close these windows really quickly. So this is a different Airtable already set up with Clockworks automation in it. And this is, as you can see, something for, let's say, sales proposals. So the use case we imagined for this is you have a whole team of sales. They want, before they send out a proposal to a client, they may want it approved by the sales manager or the CFO or anybody else that you want approved. This one allows you to do a lot more complicated kind of approval logic. So as you can see here, this is a summary of the request. This is, who the salesperson is, who the customer is, allows you to upload the specific proposal. I'll talk about urgency in a second. And then if I go to the people roles table, you can see that here I've set up people's names and email addresses, but also I've included roles like the first approver, second approver, and third approver. As you can imagine here, this is going to be sequential or serial. But in a second, I'll show you how you can do much more complicated and cool kind of flows, approval flows, after I go through a quick demo of the first one. So here we also have a form that you can share with, let's say, the salespeople. And I'm just going to fill out this form as John and say, this is a Clockworks quarterly renewal. And for urgency, this basically just determines how frequently we send out reminders. So if this were really urgent, we would just keep on sending reminders every hour, but I'm going to choose daily reminders. I'm going to request a response in a couple of days. I'm going to say the customer is Clockworks, and I'm going to just quickly attach the file here. Sorry, this might take a second. Oh, that's pretty fast for Airtable. Okay, I'm going to select new and click submit. And I'm going to go back up here to Airtable. And you can see that there's this new field here. And actually, we've already picked it up to be in progress. A new request would be new, but we're polling and looking for this change. So it actually changed to in progress already. So what that means is we already sent the email to the first approver. So I'm going to go to email, jump really quickly to this one. This is the first approver, Jackie, who received it. But we also sent an email to John, the requester, just letting him know that the request was picked up and the approval request was sent out. So just like what we saw before, I'm actually just going to go very quickly because you saw this in the previous flow. That here's the request here that I can take a look at, and I'm just going to approve it. Go back to the Airtable. You can still see it's in progress. Okay, we got the email now, and so I'm just going to respond to this request. You can see it's the same information. I'm just going to approve just to get this going a little bit more. So the last thing I just wanted to show before we finish the demo is if you go to the people roles table, you can really change the approval logic really easily here for each request that's coming in. So I'm going to make Jackie actually the kind of tier 1 approver pool, and then I'm going to keep Danelle in that same pool, and I'm going to add Madeline as tier 2 and make Sarah also as tier 2. So what we do here is we send in parallel to Jackie and Janelle, everybody in tier 1, the approval. And then basically either Jackie or Janelle can approve on behalf of everybody in tier 1, right? And similarly, Madeline and Sarah will both receive the next level of approvals, and either one of them can approve on behalf of everybody in that pool. So actually, this is something that we didn't expect that anybody needed, but we actually found that people did. So this is kind of an example where anybody can approve in one pool, but just one person needs to approve. And as you can imagine, we also allow logic like parallel. I'm going to show you in a second, where I make Jackie, Janelle, and John all parallel approvers. And in this case, John, Janelle, and Jackie will all receive the request all at the same time, and they can approve independently, but it doesn't change to approve until everybody has approved all together. So that's another kind of approval logic that you do. And we've seen customers do super complicated things like do a lookup for the manager and then do a lookup for the VP and then decide to do a tiered and then parallel approver. So it kind of, you can imagine how complicated the logic can get, but with just a few of these different settings and kind of the structure of Airtable put together, you can really make something super complicated really, really quickly, just with just a few kind of selections. And the beauty of our system is that, let's say I've changed the logic to parallel now, the next proposal that comes in here will be viewed as a parallel approval. So you can kind of iterate on the process really, really quickly, down to the request level, and kind of view it as, by just clicking on the link to see what style that you're what kind of process you're using really quickly. So that was a quick demo. hopefully you can come take a look at the videos and our features on getclockworks.com, and you're excited to try out our approval automation. I will mention right now that we are in closed beta, so please sign up and we'll send you a quick invitation when we're ready to accommodate you.
Awesome. And we'll definitely put that link in the show notes for anyone that's listening. That's super, super cool. I'm very impressed. Like I could see 1,000 use cases for that. And I know you talked about how it was, that you might be able to set up the same thing with Zapier and Airtable and just natively, but you'd have to set up so many different things to capture those comments and that history of it being rejected, then approved, then resubmitted. And I love that you have it all laid out there with everybody's comments right there.
Yeah, the comments section is something that we are going to work a lot on, because it seems like a lot of people really want to be able to chat real time about a very specific situation. Think of it as, we have a shared goal that we're trying to get to, and we want to collaborate really quickly on it. We're kind of creating a place where you can focus on that one task together. So that's an area that I think is really important, and kind of returning with feedback and being able to share with comment on something really quickly and having a record on it so you can see how efficiently or inefficiently it's happening, I think is really useful for a lot of our clients.
Absolutely. No, that's super, super cool. I'm honestly I'm going to go sign up.
Awesome. We'd love to have you as a beta tester.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for showing that to us. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Allie.
Yeah, of course. You're welcome. And thank you for chatting with me today. It's been great having you on the show.
Thanks for having me as well. And hi, Mom.
Awesome. I'll say it too. Hi, Mom. That's perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you.